Would you rather perform an intimate acoustic show or a full band spectacle at a massive stadium?
The first thing I would say is that I'm lucky that I don't generally have to choose between those in any permanent kind of way. I think that the honest answer is I'd rather play the full band thing. I love the guys in my band. I love the noise that we make together, and I usually play a couple of solo songs in the middle of a full band show anyway. So I do love the small intimate shows, but if you're going to make me choose, which seems to be the vibe of the game, then I'm going to go with the full band spectacular, please.
Divided opinion, because I asked this on social media, and a lot of people would rather see an intimate acoustic show
Well,
than the full band spectacle. But I thought it was
yeah, but,
interesting to get your
which I
perspective.
understand, of course. I mean, the issue with it is I do quite regularly get people saying to me, "Oh, I just want you to do a tour of smaller venues," and on the rare occasions when I do that, they all sell out, and that person doesn't get a ticket. So I try and pitch where I play to the number of people who want to come and see me play.
Of course. Okay, this is a less of a music one because I didn't want to always just focus on music. It's just a general like politeness question. Would you rather never be able to say please or never be able to say thank you?
Oh, that's a good question. Instinctively, I'm going to say never be able to say please. It would still suck because I do try to be considerate in my journey through this world. But I think that thank you is more important than please in a funny way. They're both important, but I think I'm going with thank you.
I think you're right. I think grateful and being thankful is more important than being pleased. Even
Sure.
as much as that is polite, I think it'd be harder to not say
Right.
thank you. I
I
agree.
think the fact of being, anyone doing anything for you or giving you anything or whatever, and never being able to say thank you for it would be torturous.
Would you rather perform at the same venue, like so this is like forever, at the same venue but have different set lists every time? Or would you rather perform at different venues but it always has to be the same set list?
That is a really tough question. In my experience, I sort of do a bit of both. And the Lost Evenings you mentioned, but I've done residencies in various venues around the world at different times. I recently did a residency in Colorado for a few days, same venue, different set list. But then, of course, on a regular tour, we don't play exactly the same thing every night, but we have kind of a reasonably established set list as we go. I think that ultimately, when you're doing a residency, the fact of being in the same place every day gets a bit weird. Going back into a venue the day after you've played it to set up and play again always feels a bit like revisiting the scene of a crime to me somehow. It's just a bit like, why are we still here? We should be somewhere else by now. And, ultimately, on a lot of levels, when I'm on tour, the important thing is the focus is the music, of course, is the performance, is the show. But the fact that I get to travel around the world as a musician is a huge privilege and one that I love and enjoy. And I feel very lucky that I can say that I've got friends in cities all over the world. So I think that I would hate to have to make this choice, but I would probably choose same set list, different places. Simply because I get to travel and see the world and see people. I don't know, it would get old though. That is a tough one.
More and more bands, I've noticed this, more and more bands and artists are doing the same set list these days.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's easier to sort of rehearse and
It is, and but then there's a famous thing that Tom Petty he went through about a 20-year period of playing the same set list every night because he basically just played the track listing of his greatest hits record. And he did actually start putting his fan base off going to see him live because at a certain point, if you know exactly what you get and you saw the last tour, it's just a bit like, let's do the same thing again. So I do, in between tours, I change up my set list a lot. And as I say, on a given tour, we do change it up every night. I try and play some requests, I try and play some rarities, I try and sort of move things around a little bit. But we generally have the same opening and closing to a show and stuff like that. And there's sort of, there are certain sort of set pieces that work in the middle of a show. So I can sort of see both sides of it, really.
I've only chosen these two festivals because they're the two biggest festivals in the UK. But would you rather only perform at Glastonbury or at Reading and Leeds?
Again, that's a tough question. And I'll tell you what, 10 years ago, my answer would have been quite different to what it is today. Because in a way that I'm not casting shades of saying this, but Reading has changed a lot in recent years. I hold the record for most number of consecutive years at Reading. I did 10 years in a row without a break. And that finished in 2015. And then I played there again either last year or the year before, I can't quite remember, and was quite shocked at how different it is. It's a much more Well, this is the thing. I think it is. I think its demographic target is still the same. It's kind of it's a post A levels festival, or however you want to describe it. But it was much more sort of TikTok focused, should we say? It was much more kind of pop and less rock and all that kind of thing. And I don't want to be an old man shaking a walking stick and say it was better in my day. It was different in my day. And if that's, I'm sure that Melvin and the people who book Reading know what they're doing. And if that's what the kids want to hear, then happy days. So I think that 10 years ago I would have said Reading without hesitation, but I have to say that now I would probably say Glastonbury. I feel that feels more homely to me as a musician, as a performer these days. There's also, I mean, Glastonbury has the cultural heft it has the international reputation, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm going to choose Glastonbury, but that is a recent development.
This is one my partner wanted to ask, my partner Abby, if that's okay. Would you rather only have a cat or a dog?
I would say cat. I mean, I love dogs. My goodness, I love dogs. I grew up with lots of dogs in my house, but as an adult, I've had cats, and I love cats. And I lost a cat last year, so I miss her very much. So I think I'd say cats. They're lower maintenance and they're easier if you're a touring person, because you can get people in to look after them in a way that is a bit easier than looking after dogs.